like my cool gamer headphones.
Whoa, Dan Goodsell.
Tony,
Look at you.
go around to the right. Shoot that monster. That's a monster.
I mean, I really felt like we were playing like Halo or something right there. That was great.
Squad commander to squad. Head out northeast. The bubble is contracting on us. Look out. Oh, they're coming on our flank.
Oh, flank. That's good.
Flank.
That was a good word. Yeah.
That's the butthole.
Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. It's Hate Watching, yeah.
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony, the movie criticism show that less than dozens flock to every week to get their movie criticism. And
less than dozen.
Less than dozen.
Singular.
Single dozen. And this week we're going with, I guess it's my pick, a movie we've been itching to do for months now, just waiting for its release.
Yeah, for real. I feel like it's been years.
It seems like we have been waiting for this movie. Definitely we've been waiting for this one. It's Chaos Walking.
Woo!
From 2021, essentially. Yeah, from 2021.
Essentially, but also not really at all.
What was it? It was shot in 2017, then reshot in 2019.
Yeah.
And has never found.
And then finally released.
Because there was no cut of this movie you could make that an audience would enjoy.
Is there yet? I don't know. Jury's out.
I'm going to say that this is the worst movie we've watched for this show.
Oh, interesting. I don't
absolutely
think
the worst.
That it's that. Well, it's hard because I don't fault the movie making as the problem. I don't think that you can. I'm sure the books are great. I have not read them. I would say they are unfilmable. Just as the premise, I don't think you can make this palatable.
I see what you're saying. I read the full synopsis on the first book and then most of the synopsis on the second book, and the books seem to be having many of the problems that the movie has, and then the movie just adds a bunch more problems on there.
With the actual turning it into a movie, which I think is impossible. And so, I also don't. I mean, I don't love the way they did it, but yes,
so,
yeah. What?
So the whole sort of conceit of the movie is we've gone to this other planet, and on this planet, men's minds sort of spew out their inner thoughts, except a few very powerful.
But sort of. Honestly, it's just sort of, and that's one of my big problems. And I guess you're saying the book doesn't really change that much.
And then women don't have that issue. Okay, and so. So that's sort of the basic premise. And I mean, I must say I did not hate the way that they dealt with it in the movie. I did not find that as my major problematic points of this movie are for so many other reasons.
I mean, again, I don't think there's a way to do it well. Like if I were to see a movie where I was like, oh, that was really cool how they did that, I don't think that exists. So the fact that I'm not mad at it is probably as best as they're going to get.
Yes.
With this sort of thing.
I agree. Yes. So we're on this planet. This happens, and we're introduced to, it's 2257. We're in this. Did you think it was Earth, or did you think it was another planet?
I certainly thought it was Earth up until they told us it wasn't, which is weird because they gave us the date. Why didn't they just give us like the name of the planet?
Because the name of the planet was New Earth. They did give us that when they gave us the 2057. But
so either way, I would have been confused because New Earth just makes it sound like something happened and we've like rebuilt.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We've rebranded Earth as New Earth because something terrible happened, and the reason for this is it is the most non-alien landscape that they've ever put in a movie. It's just a forest.
It's. And then, some other, maybe a stream here or there, but mostly just trees.
It's interesting. I was reading about it in the book, and at one point, the horrible preacher character gets attacked by crocodiles.
Is that what Tom? No, Tom Holland was fighting some sort of octopus type of
Octopus
thing.
thing.
But okay, so crocodiles, yeah, crocodiles.
Crocodiles. But this immediately makes me think, wait, crocodiles, that's an earth creature. How is he getting attacked by crocodiles?
And I guess their conceit is like they brought animals with them, right? That's why there was those pods, the chambers for the horses. But why would you bring a crocodile, I guess? That seems like a stupid idea. Terrible. Yeah, I don't know.
And so,
that doesn't make any sense.
So in this world that's supposed to be alien, what do we see? We see one bug and we see one alien.
Why don't they just make it like an alien creature?
The crocodile?
Yeah, or like something so that it's not like a human.
Well,
I don't know.
Maybe in the book they call it a crocodile, but it's really like a creature with slugs, or But I mean, we're doing this. We're imagining this other world where human beings are after to survive, and we see one bug and we see one alien, and we have no explanation. I mean, the explanation about the spackle, worst name for an alien ever.
Well, I mean, they also look terrible. So,
and the whole part with we're going to get to the part with the alien because that's just one of the many parts that makes you pull out your hair and want to kill yourself.
Sure.
So I got to back up 1 second.
Okay.
So
I just want to.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. You go. Sorry. No, you go.
So the reason why we started this podcast was because I did one lone review about Ad Astra because it made me so angry watching the movie. I had to sit down. I couldn't just do 20 minutes with my poor innocent wife, who I torment all day about a million other things. I needed to torment someone, and we torment. So now we do. Tony and I do this, and we do this for fun. But occasionally, you get to a movie. Usually it's kind of fun. You watch the movie, and you're like, "Oh, that was bad," and then you get to make fun of it. This movie, constantly through it, I got angry and was angry directly at the people that made this movie, and I wanted to enact my vengeance upon them.
Now, just to clear up, did you rent on your own account or did you rent on MyVoo?
I just rented on Amazon like I do with all my stuff.
All right. So you do have a reason to be mad. I was like, if you didn't pay for it, you have no reason to be upset. What's interesting, Dan, is that this is one of the few movies that didn't make me mad. I was just kind of disappointed. Sure. I was never angry. It's like sometimes I get, full of vitriol.
You get very angry.
This wasn't one of those things. I was just kind of like, guys. Why are you doing this? You're messing it up. And I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities. But again, I don't know if it's because of the source material or because of shoddy, filmmaking. I don't know.
And we'll explore that a little bit, I think. And I think that's what makes me angry is, as an audience member, the thing I hate to say is, why is that character doing that? Why are they saying that? Why are they acting that way? Because you're just like, they don't need to. It's interesting. I was watching the Thor movie, the Thor Ragnarok, and there's a point at when he fights the Hulk, and he's there with Loki, and Loki just says this line, and he just slips it in there, and it's the line that I haven't seen the new champion yet, even though he's been there a while. He has, and it's like everybody carries, in truth, everybody carries around pictures of the Hulk and masks of the. He'd have figured it out.
You got to be living in a hole to not have seen it. But
we throw in that one little line there, and so when Loki gets his first shot of him, you buy it, even though there's no way he wouldn't know exactly who the champion was because he's on the front of the newspaper or whatever. Yeah. But the point is you gotta give us those lines, and an incredible filmmaker gives us those lines in a way that we don't react to them, and we're not tipped off as to what is to come. But when it comes, then we go, oh, he hasn't seen him yet. Oh, and so we buy it. This movie does the exact opposite of that, where they set things up and then they never pay them off. And you want to kill them for doing this.
Now, is part of that, do you think, because it's a trilogy?
I think there's a little bit about that, because the whole thing about the spackle aliens is they really get into those as time goes by in the books.
Okay, that's unfortunate, because we do talk about them a lot in this movie, and then we see it for like 24 seconds and then never again. And I was like, why even put that in the movie? I don't understand why it's even there.
And the thing that and you're right, some of the stuff that they sort of do with that thing in that scene is based on what happens in the book. But since they've changed everything in the book so incredibly, we don't understand. They still like are using some of the motivations from the book in how the
Yeah.
characters
Yeah.
act, as opposed to just figuring out what the characters do. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, on all of the characters are severely underdeveloped. I think we can all just agree on that. Even calling them characters is somewhat problematic to me because we don't know anything about some of them. But what's interesting now that we're talking about it, like we in the beginning they say the spackles are the bad guys, right? And then we meet a spackle while we still think that, and the spackle is relatively peaceful, but we attack him or her or it or whatever. And then later we find out that the humans kill her, but we never really go back and deal with the fact that, oh wait, the spackles probably are fine. They haven't actually done anything. We're the bad like we
we're
don't deal with that at all. We don't really deal with anything.
Well, that's sort of how the book goes on further. And in the book, so the basic thing we sort of find out is they tell him as a kid that the spackle killed all the women, and then I don't know if they said this in the movie or not, but in the books they tell him that they then killed all the spackle. So they've eradicated the race of this planet, supposedly, which I don't.
For sure not. We don't talk about that because when they see the thing, he's like, oh, that's a spackle camp. We can't go there. So he knows that they exist. For sure. That's interesting.
So automatically there's a very big point that's very different. And it almost feels like when he fights that spackle, if you knew what one was, like if you're living on a planet with an alien race, you would have a basic idea of how to interact with it. Right?
For sure. Yes.
Because it would come up in okay, so that's one thing. Now, so the basic premise is, they kill all the women, and then the other thing. So what we find out through the course of the movie is, no, the men of this town killed all the women.
Which I would argue we kind of skate over because that's like a really big deal to me. And everyone in the movie is just kind of like, oh, wow, that changes everything. Anyhow, so if we go over here, I was like, wait, God, what are we talking about? They murdered all of the women, including Tom Holland's mother. And he is not nearly as mad at the humans as he is at the random spackle that he meets in the woods.
And you're absolutely right. And here's the thing why this movie / book / anything can't work is we exist in a world where people's inner thoughts are constantly broadcast. How and this whole thing is predicated on gigantic secrets that everyone is keeping from him.
But
no one can keep a secret in this movie.
Nobody can keep a secret in the movie, which is why it's so confusing that somehow everyone has kept one secret. Like a really big secret they're able to keep with these little tiny things. Everyone's like, oh, shoot, you tricked me into saying it in my thoughts. Unbelievable. What? And
so you've started a movie with a premise that is untenable, period. End of stop. And it's a movie about lying to the people that you love the most in a society where you can't lie to anyone about anything ever.
And they tell us that over and over and like demonstrate it in the movie, which is when the twist comes, I'm kind of like, there's no way someone would have let it slip at some point because there's no way that no one, I don't know. So
you started this stupid movie with an incredibly stupid, untenable premise. And it's like, where are you going to go from there? Well, the truth of the matter is where you're going to go from there is characters acting in irrational, random, non-ways. And in a sense, you can't write that script because nobody can act out how they are because it's impossible.
Well, see, I don't know if I'm on the same page, but what I find interesting about the premise is the idea of like a true self. Like, are we our thoughts or are we our actions?
Super interesting.
If we had dealt with that on almost any level, I think that would have been cool. I also think that there's an interesting way to go about the power dynamic between the relationship of Tom Holland's character and Daisy's character, like, you know, similar to this frickin' Twilight. Oh, I can't understand your thoughts. Mwah. But I think
A movie where they handled all that stuff really well because everyone just spoke what they were feeling.
Agree.
They actually,
I agree.
You agree. Twilight handled it much better. I mean,
but only because we watched them back to back. Okay, last week I did not agree. I just want to say.
Okay, and now we're going to get to the second most untenable thing about this movie. They killed all the women. And then for 13 years, well, he's supposed to be 13 years old in the book. He's more like 17, 18 in this movie.
At least.
For 17 years, a bunch of men lived in a town together where they all know that there's another town a mile away, 6 miles away, 2 days away.
It doesn't matter how far.
And full of women, and they all have a bunch of magic space guns.
Oh, we got it. I mean, we'll talk about that when we get to that. But
sorry, there is, and these are not like celibate priestly men or something where you're like, oh, no, these are like savage, disgusting monster men, and they're going to not live with women in any way, shape, or form for 18 years. 18 years.
we don't deal with that. So when he came to that second town and there was just like, it's full of women, I was like, So they didn't really kill all the women at all. They just killed 15 to 20 from their town because their town seems pretty small. I don't know. Still a big deal. I'm not saying it's not a big deal. It's just it's weird and doesn't make a ton of sense. And you're right. They are all savages, and we don't really deal with that in the way that they go to the next town or when Daisy Ridley shows up. I understand that it's like YA and like you don't want to get creepy, but like it would get creepy.
There would be rape gangs. It would be a freaking nightmare.
It would be a nightmare. And even if they would have just done it the one time where that guy sneaks into the barn and his thoughts are like, oh, I'm going to turn her in. That's not his thought. His thought would have been like, oh, hey, it's a woman. And then that would have been a slightly more interesting scene to me.
It would have been the dirtiest, most disgusting scene ever because you would be seeing all sorts of things shooting in all kinds of directions. And yeah,
I don't know.
Because they're men. And so once again, here you're making here. And I think that's the problem with a lot of YA stuff like this that tries to like talk about bigger issues is you're not set up to talk about bigger issues. Your setup of putting a bunch of teens and preteens in a maze and then they have to run through a maze. That's when it works. But once you start introducing those preteens...
Oh, interesting.
Scorched trials. I've watched all those movies. And that's the other thing is this movie doesn't come anywhere close to succeeding at the brief that is those movies. Right?
I would argue that we don't even try.
We don't even try.
And maybe that's their way of being like, we know what we're supposed to do, but we're just not going to do that because like it's not going to work in this movie. So let's ignore it and just focus on this like fun adventure. I think that's what they decided.
And it is the least fun, least adventure ever.
And it's such a basic. So here, I think my big problem is that the plot is too basic to be interesting. But then the device that you use is interesting, but you don't deal with it at all. And so neither of those facets work. And then the movie's just kind of like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
It's a dumb mess. Did you ever see Kevin Costner's The Postman?
Of course. I'm obsessed with Kevin Costner.
So yes, of course.
Yes.
That movie handled a lot of these ideas really well. We have these different towns. Different towns have different needs, and it's slowly about how civilization is trying to come back to existence. Mm-hmm. And it begins with communication, and you have the guys that only want war, and they cause the problem. I mean, is it a great movie? No, but it's a really good movie for sort of exploring these ideas. This movie is...
And it's at least interesting.
This movie is terrible for exploring any of those ideas. The whole idea is the bad guy wants to grab the ship so he can take over the other towns and control the world. Well, he's just spent 17 years with magic guns not doing that. And now that Space Girl is here, now he's going to do it.
Well, because now he can do it much more efficiently, right? Because now he's got a giant spaceship, so he can just pew, 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 you're all dead.
I guess in the books, in the first book, the kids run away. They run away instantly. They don't before anybody really knows what's going on, and they run to the one town, and then the bad guys come and kill everybody in the town, and then they go to Haven, and then by the time they get to Haven, the bad guys have gone to Haven and taken over all of it, and then enslaved them. That's the ending of the first book. They're enslaved.
That sounds way more interesting than what we just saw. I think I'm gonna have to buy this book now just to see if it's any better. Because what?
And that was one of those tensions in The Postman is like wherever he went, he caused trouble because he was trying to civilize in an uncivilized world. And it brought, every time he'd go to a new town, it would bring bad things upon them. And that's and that's the same thing that these kids should be doing, is they should be bringing bad things down upon because the world is having to change.
And why didn't we? Because we went to the other town. The other town was like, hey, if you're from this town, we're going to hang you. And then instead of that, they were like, oh, never mind, you can stay. No, don't worry about it. You can stay. Everyone come in. What? I was so mad. They have him cuffed. And then she's mayor? Is that they're mayors in this movie? She like comes out and she's like, hey, everyone back off. Okay, you can stay with me. I know that you're from the bad town. I don't understand. Why did she change her mind? Why is everyone so welcoming? And then the bad people come and nothing happens. They're like, hey,
we don't even see what happens because these people that they've protected and tried to help say screw you and just run away. They never do anything heroic. They never do anything.
Nope.
Okay, we're gonna start the movie because we've done.
Wait, before we start the movie, I want to give you this ranking system that I think we should do together of YA movies. So we've got Twilight,
A+,
Hunger Games. Hold on, we're ranking them in order of best to worst. Twilight,
A+,
Hunger Games, Chaos Walking, the Maze Runner series, and Divergent.
The truth of the matter is, I cannot tell you the difference between Maze Runner and Divergent. I have watched them all. I've probably watched them all. I couldn't tell you about. I mean, they're terrible, but I mean, was it Shailene Woodley was in one of them? She got better over time.
Who's that?
That's the girl. That's the girl in the Divergent ones, I believe.
To be perfectly honest, I've only seen the first of each of those, and I was like, I can't even handle a sequel, so I'm out.
The Hunger Games is incredible. That first movie's incredible.
I agree. That's Hunger Games is my number one, and then my number two, Dan, would be Twilight, and then my number three is Chaos Walking. Though I'll tell you that right now.
Over Maze Runner. Maze Runner wasn't
over Maze Runner. I did not like Maze Runner. I liked the book. I did not like the movie, and then I couldn't even handle Divergent. I was out. But that might have been the timing of it. There was a lot of YA happening this time.
A lot of YA. The Scorch Trials. I mean those movies. But I mean those movies at least I think they succeed at the brief. This movie does not succeed at the brief because all the characters are either silent or terrible.
Correct.
That's it. Silent or terrible. That's it. There's only two options.
But there are two decent moments with Tom Holland getting to do some like jokey, fun things, and that saved the whole movie for me.
If he'd have been jokey and fun, if they'd have played him as a fun character, but they did not. They played him as the most morose, monstrous, uncharming thing.
What a waste. Tom Holland is amazing. He is so great. He's so charming. He's funny. He does the awkward really well, which is great for this movie where you see all your thoughts with a girl. Like, there's so much that should have been done with his character, and they just wasted it. They wasted it completely.
Have you seen The Hunt for the Wilder People?
I have not. I feel like we've brought this up before on here.
It's another thing where like two people that are sort of at conflict have to spend time on the road, in the bush doing a thing. And the way they handle it is just funny and charming and good and interesting. And I guess that's the thing is at no point is this movie about the two of them. It's never about the two of them.
I feel like there's moments. There's never like a whole scene, but there's like moments where there's like almost about them, and those are the best parts of the movie to me. It's the most interesting because if we're not going to deal with a plot, if we're not going to deal with the device, then we should deal with characters. Well, you got to pick something,
And that was
but we don't.
in the book. His two dads like send him away, literally send him away before shit hits the fan.
Smart.
And that's that we buy, as opposed to them having to be chased. I mean, we're going to talk about that in a minute, and that whole scene made me want to kill myself. I mean, there's so many things in this movie that just made me. Okay, so we're going to start.
Yeah, I guess we're like 15, 20 minutes in this podcast. We haven't even started the movie, really.
That's really good of us.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We get done on time, and this one's got to be 6 hours long. So he's out in the forest. He's grumbly. He throws his knife. He kills a bug. Does he eat the bug or gives the dog the bug?
Gives the dog the bug.
Dog, best part of this movie, period.
And we'll get to the, oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy is right. I like the little dog. Then he goes back to town and he meets Nick Jonas, who, once again, worst casting ever of Nick Jonas. Another guy who's pleasantly funny and sweet and supposed to be the monstrous child.
This poor guy. I mean, if there's ever been an actor who's been set up for failure, it is Nick Jonas in this movie. He cannot play this to save his life. And I mean, that's fine. I don't even dislike him. I love like in Jumanji.
He's great.
He's awesome because he's like this fun adventure guy. This is not the role for Nick Jonas, you guys. Every time he was on screen, I was like, oh God, get him off. Save this man.
And then was Todd Hewitt, was he the mayor's son? Is that what it is?
Dan, we thought the same thing, but they never say it. But at that end scene when the mom I really thought that he was, but they never say it.
Okay, it was so weird because they're sort of half implying it constantly, and you're just like, I don't. Ugh. So he uses his noise to make a snake and scares Nick Jonas.
Which was a moment where I was like, okay, that's cool that we're going to use the noise as, some sort of way to do things, and we don't.
You mean, well, what you thought was, oh, this is his special skill. He's good at this. He's going to use this to affect at 3 or 4 major plot points in the movie, and we're going to be, this is what makes him special, is he has this sort of control of it. Never happens in the movie.
Uh-huh. Well, the end, when he creates all of those people, I guess would be the argument that that's him doing, a special job or whatever. But no, I agree. Like, I thought that was going to be his thing because there's always these YAs. There's always like, they have the thing. They have this one thing that they can do that like gets them through the shit. And it didn't. It did. In fact, he's not even very good at it.
No.
Except for when he makes the snake.
Makes snake.
That was like the one cool thing. Otherwise, he's always like, I am Todd Hewitt. I am Todd Hewitt. Just so stupid.
It's so bad. Okay, the other thing is they set him up with the knife. He's knife guy. He's knife guy. He's knife guy. Never uses the knife to do anything.
Well, that's not true. He throws it at a lot of trees, Dan.
Those trees.
Okay.
Those trees suffer horribly under his vicious knife skills. And of course, you go back to Hunger Games. She's like an archer. She's the best archer in the world.
She's Katniss Everdeen, baby.
She's the best archer in the world. It's like, period.
Because that's her thing.
That's her thing.
And that's what saves her life.
And we love her for that. If Todd Hewitt was like Mr. Knife, he's like, woo, choo, 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 choo. But for some reason, they chose to make this character ineffectual and not fun at all, like unhappy about everything.
Yeah. Classic Todd Hewitt right there.
So here comes the spaceship. She's in it, and they hit the atmosphere, and then the noise kicks in, and everybody on the ship freaks out and gets out of their chairs and starts running around. I hated that
Which,
scene.
if I was in a spaceship and the bad things were happening, the first thing I would do, unbuckle. 100%. That's definitely the right move because I want to float about the cabin that's entering like a pressurized atmosphere. That's what I want to do. Fucking idiots.
It was so stupid. And I mean, ostensibly, they're the scouting crew. This is the crew you're sending down to the planet to see what the heck's going on.
Which, and as far as I can tell, they've never been in a spaceship in their lives. Even though they grew up in a spaceship, they don't understand the first thing about being in a spaceship.
17 years old, 20 years old. Daisy Ridley's probably about 41 at this point. Never trained for a mission. This is the, like, let's send the kids that don't know anything because we don't need them.
Yeah.
So let's just send them.
That's right.
So she crashes. And so Captain freaks out. Okay. Last boy in the world. So he just stumbles on the crash site. This gigantic ship crashed like one hill over. Nobody saw it. Nobody heard it.
That's what I thought.
Nobody reacted. What?
Because then he has to go tell him, it's like, look what I found. Hey, Mayor, check out what I saw.
In the book, I guess it's just her and her parents who crash in a small ship. Scout ship.
Why would we change that?
Why would we change that? I have no idea why we would change that.
That's so much more like impactful. Like it's her and her parents don't make it. Yeah. Holy shit! Hey, look at that. We have like character motivations. We have some emotional connection. Oh, that's too bad.
And I guess in the book, she doesn't talk for a long time. And it's probably based on the trauma. So she's actually shell-shocked and in trauma.
Sure.
This character does not seem like she's shell-shocked and trauma. It seems like she's just not talking because she doesn't want to give out information, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
So she's stealing food. He finds the landing site. Then he goes into town and projects this to everybody, so everybody knows what's going on. So they all go out to the landing site. And then he goes back home, and she's in the barn. There it is.
There it is. That's the movie.
And I think then she actually tells him that she's on a scout ship and that there's 4,000 people on the ship and they're heading here. Which is
that sounds right.
Is like, either don't tell him that or tell, it's really, they want to set up this motivation where the mayor wants to kill everybody in the ship.
So this is a great time to talk about this, is that his town feels relatively small.
Yeah. 100.
This ship is holding 4,000 people.
Yeah, but they're all going to be asleep.
His town, is that what it is? Because they're still in cryo sleep? Okay. Did they say that in the movie? Because this whole time I was like, how are you going to take out 4,000 people, bro? That's a lot of people with your horse and your stupid hat. I don't know.
And your 3 magic space guns. Yeah, no, it's absurd. It's stupid. And it's stupid. So now
do you?
Oh no!
I don't understand cryo sleep. Do you sleep until you're already landed?
It depends on how you do it.
Okay.
Oh, so
I just imagine you would wake up to like prep for your landing, so you don't just land in a foreign territory where there could be hostiles. It seems like a weird move.
You'd think you'd come into orbit and then you send down some more scout ships and you'd figure out what you're going. You wouldn't just like, oh, there's the planet. Let's just land.
And who woke up the scout ship?
I don't know.
Are there people that are awake on the ship already that are like doing the planning for 60 years? And
who knows?
It's I'm a little confused about it. I'd like to understand the spaceship a little better.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we understood something about this movie, but we don't because no one ever tells us. No one. Usually these movies, it's like we will give you 1,000 miles of exposition. Blah 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 blah. Tenet. This is like blah 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 blah. This movie is like, no, we're not telling you anything. You're on your own.
Someone's got to find that sweet middle spot that's just enough exposition, but not too much. It's there.
Well, yeah,
it's there,
and
guys.
like if you go and look at Thor Ragnarok, it's exactly it. He walks in there and Korg's there, and Korg lays it all out, but he lays it out in a fun, humorous way, so that we love that scene. We love the character that's giving us exposition. We love the way because there's jokes inside there. And it's a character giving us exposition as opposed to a writer that's like, okay,
dialogue.
This is the guy in the room, so I guess he's saying all this stuff. So the mayor they grab her, I guess, from the barn. I don't even remember. And then he's got her in like back in town. And here we go. He's like, oh yeah. So then he goes out to talk to the town, leaves her with stupid Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas starts playing around. He pulls out this little device that he pushes a button on, and then this device like shoots giant laser holes in
Yeah,
like 10 places in the room.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Did you expect the giant laser hole machine to be used later?
I mean, I thought that it would probably come back, but I guess maybe Nick Jonas still has it.
We don't know because we don't see where this incredibly powerful technological item goes.
Maybe it's a one and done sort of thing, because it was a small device, so it's probably only got one trigger. Like, oh, and now it's used up. We recycle it, and then we'll make a new one.
Wouldn't that be interesting if Daisy Ridley's character had taken it with her and then gone like, boop, 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 my machine's broken, boom.
Sure.
Wouldn't that 30 seconds of reshooting like have been useful in the $15 million worth of reshooting is like a little explanation?
I would love to know what was reshot.
Yeah, I know, we all would.
Because it doesn't fix anything, no. I don't think. But like, how bad was it the first time? I don't know. So when this weapon goes off, she's able to get away and then crawl on the floorboards. You know what? The bad guys, whenever they're looking for someone, they immediately leave the area where the person could be. Well, sure, because they ran away, Dan. No one's dumb enough to hide in plain sight. Come on.
So she crawls and listens to the whole thing to find out that the mayor wants to take the ship. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, not the right time to give away your evil plan. When the person's missing, probably. It's fine, though.
Okay, so now the girls... Oh, she sneaks back away, and where does she end up? Back in their barn. Because the only place to go to is the stupid barn.
Well, it's the only place she knows, Dan.
So in the barn, there's a space motorcycle, which is just sitting there, which totally works. Which she's
is it a space motorcycle? Because it looks a lot like a 1970s dirt bike.
It has
with like one LCD screen on it.
Space motorcycle console on this motorcycle that they bought off the rack.
Yeah, 100%. Like, cool design, guys. Oh, yeah. Way to go.
And I wrote this, why won't she talk? Is another thing where everyone's like, they're acting like she's all shell-shocked, even though just before she explained to the mayor that there's a spaceship coming and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it all seems pretty weird.
So the bad guys show up there because, of course, they figured out that she's there somehow. I don't know.
I mean, again, that's probably where I would have guessed. If I had to have guessed, I'd be like, well, she's probably right back to the place she was hiding.
So now we have a bunch of exposition where it's like, you got to go to Fort Branch, Fort Branch, Fort Branch, Fort Branch, Fort Branch. We say Fort Branch 1,000 times. And when you get to Fort Branch, don't mention Prentice Town. And he's all like, wait, there's another town? Why didn't you just tell me this earlier? Because I don't know.
But he's also not as surprised as he should be to learn that there is another town when he thought there was only one place to live on here. He's confused. He's like, wait, there's another town? But if I had spent the last indeterminate amount of time, 13 to 17 years, believing this is the only town on this planet, and then I find out there's one basically in walking distance, I'm going to be a little annoyed. I'm going to be a little upset and a little suspicious.
Once again, there's no night on this planet.
Also true. Oh, maybe there isn't. That's interesting.
No, there isn't. They say that.
Oh, they do. I missed a lot of stuff.
At one point, they're like, "There's no night," and you're kind of like, "Man, you really need to set that shit up."
Well, again, I missed that line. The whole time I was just like, is this one long day? Or are they just like taking breaks and then we're just not seeing them make camp for the night? I had no idea.
At a certain point when they're trekking to the town, it could be 1 day away, it could be 10 days away, it could be 1,000 days away. We have no idea.
Shouldn't Daisy Ridley's character be a little more like put off by this? The fact that there's no night? I don't know, man. Because then do they even sleep on the trip? Or like, are they just powering through?
They do sleep that one time when he sleeps in the rain, which
Oh, that's right, after the kiss.
I'm going to tell you one thing. No person who wants to survive will go and sleep in the rain.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to die, that's what you'll do.
I've wanted hypothermia for a long time, so like I get it, is what I'm saying.
So she hotwires the motorcycle, and then he gets on a horse, and then they like are getting chased and then she jumps over not a ridge, just sort of a bump, and eats shit. He does it with the horse, kills the horse, and then the bad guys who are like right there on horses who could just slow down and not eat shit and then just carefully walk the horses over this slight ridge. They stop and then they leave for no reason.
That happens a couple of times in this movie where the bad guys are like there and we're like, oh shit, they've got him trapped. And they're like, all right, that was fun. We'll see you tomorrow. I don't
Peace
understand. So this was the first time I think I lied to you. I did get mad a couple of times, Dan. And this is where I think we've talked about it before. Don't hurt animals if you don't have to.
You mean
there was no
reason for him to stab a horse to death?
Yeah, like I
just have it dead.
Listen, if this is like an old West movie, I get it. Like I get it. There's no reason for this to happen in this movie. Why even give him a horse in the first place? You don't really do much with it.
Why did he get on the motorcycle with her and then they jump off a cliff?
Yeah, like I don't know, man.
Yep, I agree completely. I could have rewritten that scene in 30 seconds and made it so we didn't. But they wanted the dark brutality of him having to kill a horse in front of her and her never seeing anyone stab a horse to death.
Which to me is just animal cruelty, only because we don't deal with the darkness of men. The only like dark parts of this movie is when we kill animals. Fuck you. Where's the dark like the humanization darkness of men? That's what this movie should have been about. We can see your thoughts. Your shit should be dark, bro. But it's not. So this is where I shut off.
Come to town after burial. He's the man. Whatever. He's such a wimp. But so Manchi shows up. The dog shows up. Thank God. That's the dog's biggest mistake in life.
Yeah, I don't think the dog should be in this movie. I know that he's cute and we like him for a while, but
it's in the book and it allows for you to do a bullshit emotional moment. To try to do a bullshit emotional moment because this movie's so bad. Usually I would turn a movie off after that and I would not finish it. And this would have been the first movie I didn't finish. And I would have been really angry. I was close.
I was close.
Yeah, I was close.
I was very close it's because they show it. If I don't think I've ever seen a movie where you show someone killing a dog. I mean, I can't be sure. The closest is obviously John Wick.
Also in Moonrise Kingdom, there's a dog gets killed. They shoot like an arrow into the air.
I've never seen that nonsense.
Down. I turned the movie off. I was like,
if we hadn't been watching it for this podcast, this movie would have been off at that moment because listen.
It's not. John Wick is a very dark movie about very dark people, and this is a YA novel. It's not. It's not a dark. This is not what we signed up. It's so unnecessary. So, so the dog shows up, and then so he starts like, okay, I'm going to lead. And then the next scene, she's leading. And he's like,
that is correct.
It's just like, it's really stupid. Is he know where he's going? How can she lead? She doesn't know where the hell she's going.
He has no idea where he's going. That's like they do the joke. The first time that I felt like they used the noise in a good way was in she asks him, she's like, do you even know where you're going? And he turns around, he's like, definitely. And then his noise goes, maybe. And I was like, okay, that's almost like a funny moment. If you would have played it better and more, I would have liked it.
Well, there you go. You just found out, you just presented how to write this movie. She'd say, do you know where you're going? He'd be like, absolutely. And then he's like, maybe. And then out of his mouth, he's like, yeah, I actually don't know where we're going. It would humanize him to actually react to his true thoughts, because that's how you'd have to be.
To his thoughts, yeah.
You would have to come to terms with that. You would not walk around going, dang good cell, dang good cell, dang good cell. You'd be like, I'm sorry, but the truth is, I don't know where we're going, but here's what I think our plan is. And then you have teamwork. You have these two people coming together, and I would buy that. But instead,
100%.
they don't even address it. He doesn't address it, and he just starts doing, Todd, maybe, no, I don't know where I'm going. I'm an idiot. Bad, Todd, bad Todd. And it's like, I don't want to see a guy that's punching himself in the face saying bad Todd. I want a guy that comes to terms with not knowing what's going on, and he can accept that.
What's interesting to me, Dan, is that how long have they been here? Do we know? Do we get that?
17 years. Maybe, or maybe a little more.
So in, let's say 15 years, give or take, it doesn't feel like anyone is used to it. I think that that's weird to me. Like, nobody deals with their noise in a way that says to me, like, oh, we've been doing this for a while. Mm-hmm. Everyone is still, like, surprised by it, and it's just very strange to me. I just feel like more people would have a handle on it to a degree, or at least, know how to deal with it.
Yep.
But nobody seems to.
Nobody seems to. Weird. And they're all talking. And that's the other thing, is they're all always talking about it. Like, the stupid preacher guy's yelling at the mayor, you control your noise like a woman, and that's bad. And he's like, it's good. You're like, I don't know. It's just you're having these sort of arguments where it's like, I don't care. But that's this whole movie.
Yeah.
So he tries to light a fire, and then he fights the monster in the lake to eat it, which once again, it was like an absurd fight. Like you would fight like a giant creature like that. It seemed really weird. It
made me laugh.
Yeah, it's funny.
Which is interesting. Yeah. And it felt really out of place in this movie, but I wish that was more the tone of the movie almost.
If that had been the tone of the movie, I'd have bought it, but it wasn't the tone of the movie. The tone of the movie is misery and hate.
But I think we can all, like, universally get behind Tom Holland stripping buck naked. I think we can all agree that was a great part of the movie.
It was funny. He doesn't even think about stripping naked in front of a girl.
Yeah, just like, this is what we do. I don't want my clothes to be wet, so here we go. Boop, boop.
So he's trying to start a fire. Then she pulls out the magic device, which I think must be the same magic device. I didn't really pay attention. And lights the fire. Oh,
interesting.
And this is what happens. She uses the device to light the fire. He says, "What is that?" And what do you think her reply was?
Nothing.
Nothing.
What did she say?
She says literally nothing.
Okay, that's all right. I was like, I don't think she tells us. Yeah.
It's good. Why?
It's good stuff.
Why would she not tell us that?
Well, maybe she tells us in the sequel, Dan.
Maybe she does. He makes a poison scales joke, which is also like really kind of out of place. Like he doesn't then say, "Oh no, I'm just kidding," or it's just like,
yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
So she says she's never. Now she's talking. She talks about the journey. She's searching for a better. They're searching for a better life, but she doesn't know if this place is like you're gonna find another habitable planet like this. You're not. This is the better life. It's like.
And I guess I'm a little confused because she's only been on the spaceship, right? So they're looking for a better life than the life on the spaceship?
No, on Earth. Because Earth was getting screwed up, so they left Earth.
So I don't know. I just want to know a little bit more about all of it, really, because they're in search of a better life. What did they do to Earth that they think is... dealing with the idea that things won't really be different on this Earth is another interesting human element that I don't think we deal with at all.
Yep.
And I feel like there's a lot of things that you could do in this movie and nobody does them. And I get upset.
Well, what they were trying to set up was an idea that she's going to tell them not to come to this planet because it's too dangerous.
Which is what I thought was going to happen.
That's supposed to be, you're supposed to get to this point where he has to make a decision. But the problem with that decision is she's always going to be here. She's never getting away. So if it's about him wanting her as a woman, she's never getting away, good. Period.
Yeah, it's all good. You already got her, bro.
What does he care about the ship coming? So, I mean, the Frisian's supposed to be, she's going to just leave, and then, so you got to have her have a ship somewhere. She's got to get back to her ship to go and warn them. And then at a certain point, he has to decide whether or not to sabotage the ship to try and keep her. But you can't do that because if he thinks of that plan, she'll instantly know it, and then she'll hate him, and then it's broken.
Yeah.
So I mean, your mind shit just messes everything up. There can be no inner conflict because all conflict is surface.
But that's what I mean is that then that's where you would get into this interesting dichotomy between the true self and, like what he thinks and what his actions are. So he would be thinking those things like, oh, I need to keep her, I need to sabotage this. But then in the end, he would make the right choice and help her escape.
No, but you see, as soon as he thinks I've got to keep her here, I'm going to sabotage the ship, she just runs away, and they never have.
Right, and then he has to come and save her, and then help her escape in the end. And he redeems himself. He makes the right choice. She lives, and it's an interesting thing to say. There's interesting stuff. I don't know,
but it's just so hard to play because this whole movie is about the two of them trekking through the forest, sort of.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the whole bit.
But in the end, we don't really deal with any of that. And I think that it's worse off for it. At least try. Because now, as it is, here's what confuses me. Is that, you're right, she's always going to be there. She's not trying to leave.
Well,
she's trying, right, she just wants to talk to her ship.
She wants to have them go away, yeah.
And that's, who gives a shit?
What do you mean?
Like, I didn't care about that. I was like, yeah, you should definitely tell him that. In fact, if anything, you should be on board with her sending the ship away, because otherwise, if they come here, then she's definitely going to abandon you because you're a little creeper. So if anything, tell her to send the ship away. It's dangerous, blah. I don't know.
And at this point, she says, we should go. So once again, she's in charge of their mission.
Yeah, 100%.
He's never in charge of anything. She's in charge. She doesn't know anything.
But I mean, I kind of like that she's like a take charge character. And then I like the moment, I mean, we're not there yet, but when he's like, oh, I got to go save her in the barn because there's a guy attacking her. And then he gets there and she's kicked the shit out of him. Like, I like that moment. I would like a little bit more of her taking charge because, again, the power dynamic is interesting when she's in charge. I don't know.
But you see, they don't have her play that character. Most of the time she's
Correct.
Like, she's doing this.
Oh, I'm scared. What's happening?
And then the next moment she's like, I'm in charge. And you're just like, just pick one. If you're going to choose, you can't have them both. And
well, again, her character, not exactly developed. It's hardly a human. So
here we go. So I guess this would be the lean-to. So it's raining. And she says the line, the rain is colder than I thought. Huh? What?
Because she's never experienced rain before. And, if you haven't and you touch it, you're like, oh, that's way colder than I would have imagined.
Then give us that line, Great.
Well,
sure.
This
is much colder than I thought. We had tropical fake rainforest enclosures on the ship that we could,
Yeah.
And more importantly, if she's on the ship, why is she awake?
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand the ship dynamics. That's what I was saying before, Dan. Like, are there people that are awake that are then like waking up crews to go to send out to scout? Did the scout ship just like their timers are early, so they all woke up and they're like, well, I guess we must be close to it. I don't understand what's going on in the ship.
Did she get on the?
I don't get it.
Did she get on the ship when she was 17, or did she get on the ship when she was a baby and she grew to 17 on the ship? But the ship's been in space for 100 years or something. It's just really stupid.
It's all very confusing.
And then she refuses food. He offers her some food and she's like refuses it.
Yeah.
And you're like,
but then she takes it. So, it makes perfect sense.
And then she's like, my parents are dead. And then it's just like, ... You're like,
yeah, we're just like, oh, cool. Good story. Anyhow, let's move on.
Then he imagines the kissing, and then he leaves the lean-to to go sleep in the rain and die of pneumonia.
I think it's a fun, again, this is a fun moment similar to the Sharktopus attack that I would have liked a little bit more in this movie. Like, he pretends that they're kissing and then he gets all embarrassed and flustered and it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. Out of place.
He should roll over and then it keeps happening, and then she starts making fun of him for, like, have her make fun of him.
Great stuff.
Like,
yeah, great stuff.
Have fun with, but instead, what does she do? Like, who cares? I hate you. So then it gets.
I hate you.
Then we get to the morning, and she's sitting there watching him dream. Like you would do that. Like, you'd be like, he's a creep.
Yeah.
And he's like a sad animal. And now she's being friendly.
Yeah.
And so in the morning, she's friendly. Why is she being friendly to him in the morning?
Because character motivations in this movie are all over the board.
So they go over there, they look down, they see the Lake of the Spackle Houses, and then you go down to another lake, and then he fights the spackle, and she stands there while he's fighting and starts to hyperventilate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a scary moment, seeing your first spackle, which is just like some sort of blank, black oozy
missing an arm
animal
for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
Missing an arm. Why is it missing an arm?
Yeah, maybe it doesn't feel all that dangerous, really, at this point.
Well, I mean, it feels dangerous because it's like 7 feet tall and has 100 pounds on him. It should destroy him.
But it doesn't fight,
doesn't it?
It just kind of is like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what happened.
It seemed like it menaced towards him, but you can't tell.
Did it?
I mean,
because then when she's like, "Hey, stop," and then he stops, and then the creature's like, "Oh boy, that was weird," and then walks off into the woods. I don't know.
And once again, Tony, you have been on sealed spaceship your whole life. You're going to a new planet. Yep. You get to this planet. Humankind says this monster race killed all the women. Killed all the women on this planet. Every single woman on this planet killed them horribly. And and you see the first one of those monsters. Would you be like, Todd, be cool with him, he's just another bro? Or would you be like, kill it, kill that thing, kill that monster?
I'm a woman in this scenario?
Well, yeah.
Because as a woman, I'm feeling even more threatened.
Because you're a woman. Because a woman can't do anything in the world.
In this world,
world, well, except get killed by the men.
Right. Okay. Well, except for the mayor of the other town. Anyhow, you would be very scared because they're apparently only killing women, as far as I can tell. They didn't seem to kill the men, right?
Who knows?
They just apparently snuck into town with their 8-foot frames and like dragged the women out into the woods and murdered them. So you're going to be scared because this is a woman killer machine.
No, but are you going to be yelling for your male protector not to kill the monster that's going to kill you?
100%, because that just makes us as bad as them. Okay, Dan. If I'm going to get killed, just let me get killed, but let's not stoop to their level. Humanity.
Okay, so then we get to Fort Ridge and we start playing that, wee sweet music. Like we know that they've reached the sweet place, and then they have sheep.
Yeah, lots of sheep,
and
just like a ton of them.
And we're supposed to understand that the military guys who have no women, who just only survive on beets. I don't think they have any. Yeah. I don't think they had any animals other than horse. Right?
I didn't see like cattle or anything. No. Yeah.
So they're going to let this other peaceful agrarian society exist a few ridges over with fucking 1,000 sheep that they're feasting. They're feasting on delicious red meat every night. I'm going to be. Yeah. I, a man, am not going to have women, and I'm not going to have red meat. Instead, I'm going to let these pacifist weirdos that don't have the weapons to protect themselves live this glorious life.
That's right. Unharmed by us. We've come to a truce that says that we don't come there, you don't come here, and everything's fine.
Based on
we're all fine.
We killed all our women, and then they sued for peace, saying we have the power.
Don't kill our women.
Don't, because we're in charge. Because you have a lot of weapons and you're men.
Yeah, and then also. He still wants to kill everyone because that's his ultimate game plan, which is confusing on that level to me. Because like he could literally come into that town at any time and eviscerate them with their fucking lasers. Because everyone at that in this other town somehow has rifles from 1937. How did they even get those? Where did those come from? They weren't on the spaceship. I guarantee it, because that technology is 100 years old. I was very upset about this.
You'd think if you were sending a whole crew with a bunch of space lasers, you'd actually give them equipment to keep their space lasers maintained for 15 years.
Right?
Just saying.
It's not even that long. I don't
Just
understand.
saying. So we meet the mayor. It's a woman. It's I don't remember what her name is. She's a British actress. She's an incredible actress, and she every time she's on there, you believe what she's saying because she's such a great actress.
Yeah.
But of course,
Absolutely.
they don't give her anything to do.
Well, I mean, they don't really give anyone much to do.
Then they're all like, hang him because he's from Prentice Town. And then, of course, like you say, they're like, nope.
And very quickly, so it's such a fast turn. There's almost no reason to put that in the movie, other than I'm sure it's in the books or something.
Yeah, it is.
But they set it up as it's a big deal. They're like, just don't tell him where you're from. Don't tell him where you're from. The first thing they say, they're like, oh, hey, we're from this town. Is that cool? And they're like, oh, wait, it's cool. Come on in. Well, I don't understand.
Well, once again, you're telling a person who has no ability to keep a secret
to lie.
Yeah. So it's more importantly, just go, don't even bring it up with him. They're like, just have, say to your husband, oh, I really hope Todd doesn't tell him he's from Prentice Town because that'll be a problem.
Sure. But guess what? The good news is it's not a problem at all. So it's fine. Everyone's fine.
Okay. Oh, this is when she lays out, they might not land and all be... Okay, that's here's the line. She spits out this line, they might not land and all be stranded. Tony.
Sure.
If let's say you're Tony, you have 4,000 other people in your family.
This is the classic Dan scenario here.
The classic. Well, this I think. Do you save? But no, this is actually it's the exact opposite of the classic. Save yourself or save your 4,000 relatives.
I mean, you saved the 4,000 people,
right?
That's a given. No, but see, here's the difference.
The Spock thing is, how are you going to be selfish? Saving your one friend or saving the universe? This one is save yourself or save the universe. Yeah. That makes you the biggest piece of garbage ever.
Shit. Yeah, just like a really shitty character. Like, fuck you, tell them to fly away. This is hostile territory. And just you know what? If you really need to, just go hide in a cave. Because it seems like everyone's fine with their own factions. Like, you could probably find a faction that you fit in.
So now they find out that they have to go to this other town that has the magical way to communicate with the thing. Okay.
A lot of boring travel.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So he's bugging her, blah, blah, blah. I can't read. Then we find out all this stuff about the men and women, which I don't care about. Skip out. It's a man. I'm the circle. Save her. What the hell happened? No reply. Nothing. You read. Blah blah blah. Priest with a sword.
What? I don't know what's going on over there.
So a lot of stuff happens, and then they're now in the barn.
Did it? Did a lot of stuff happen?
No, nothing happened, but it took up some time in the world.
Got it.
Oh, once again, so he goes in there to save her from the guy that's going to do bad things to her. Or give her back to Prentice Town. He opens the door. She's got him all tied up, and she's smoking a cigarette.
We're here.
And he's like, "What the hell happened?" And what is her reply? Nothing. No reply.
Sure. It's not like a witty quip.
Screenwriting is about writing the replies.
Sure. Yeah. One-sided conversations aren't that fun.
They're not. So the bad guys show up. And Todd goes and hides in the barn, and they brought the dad, and the dad has to get her out, and it's the worst standoff ever. And then, of course, I'm only giving you 15 more minutes to figure things out.
Again, give or take. I don't have a watch, so, I'm trusting you.
So for some reason, they have these people in the barn. They can just walk into the barn, right? They don't need to bring him out. There's no reason.
At any time.
They can just start shooting and kill, because they're not trying to even capture her. They could just kill her, right?
No, he needs her to tell her ship to land.
Oh, so he does need her.
But which is what she's doing anyhow, right? This is where I get confused, because she's not doing the thing that we think she should, which is tell your people to move on down the road.
She does tell them to
She
land.
wants them to land.
Does she?
Like, that's what she's going to do. He wants them to land. They want the same thing. Why is he being so mean about it? I just don't understand.
So worst standoff ever. So once again, so the dad comes out there and makes like the ghost form of her, and then amazingly, once again, it's your classic thing. Well, we only lined up in front of the building. We didn't think there could be a back door.
Yeah. Guys, come on. Is this the first time we see a holographic projection like that?
They made the snake.
But the snake still seemed to have
hazy. It wasn't perfect.
The haze. Yeah, this was like crystal clear.
Mayer made a fence around Daisy Ridley's character.
Okay. Yep, you're right about that.
Now wait a second.
What?
I mean, ostensibly, the noise is you communicating into the other person's brain, right? I guess she can hear the things. Yeah, okay. So that works.
I don't know.
So they run out the back, and they get to the lake, and there's a boat, and he's like getting the boat ready, and he's screaming at her, "Get in the boat!" And you know what she does?
Not get in the boat?
Yes, she stands immobile like this.
That's what I thought.
And then she says,
"Hold on, Dan. Hold on. Where?" Jesus Christ. I want to do like a whole supercut of you just doing your Daisy Ridley impression. Here's my thing about the holographic projection, real quickly, and why it bothered me, is that it kind of spoils the end of the movie, and it also makes him again less special, because now it seems like a bunch of people can do this thing that he does at the end.
Anyone ostensibly can do it.
And so, like, I would have liked, even if they were going to do this, I would have liked a line where it's like, I can't hold it for very long, or like it takes a lot of strain to like project a clear image like that or something. And then when he does it, it's like, oh shit, he's powerful.
Well, or more importantly, only the mayor can do it.
Yeah, something to make when he does it mean something, but it doesn't really. Yeah, it means almost nothing.
If he'd have done the snake, and then we just found out that only the mayor is able to do the mental projections, and Todd can do it a little bit, we'd have been right. Like, and then we understand that maybe Todd is the mayor's kid. That would have all been, and but we have no understanding or explanation as to if Todd was the mayor's kid, why the mayor gave him away to my two dads when he kept Nick Jonas as his boy, which doesn't make any sense.
Who's just a sad sack of human being there.
So she stands immobile, and then she's like, I can't swim. And it's like, it's a fucking boat. You don't have to swim when you're in the fucking boat.
The whole point of a boat is to not be in the water. You're good.
So now we have the boat chase, and the priest is after them, and they go down the waterfalls, and blah, I can't swim, and blah.
And is he swimming on the horse? How shallow is this?
Well, he rides the horse in, and then he gets off the horse, and then at a certain point, he swims to catch them in the boat.
Right.
Which is just stupid. You can't swim
super
faster
dumb.
than a boat. And then...
Doesn't he ride the horse down the waterfall?
Yeah, I think he does ride the horse down the waterfall.
And then drowns his horse as well. Like a lot of horse death.
Kills the horse.
Felt super unnecessary.
And then they kind of get split up, and then he has grabbed the dog, and he kills the dog in front of them out of spite because he's such an evil
very
priest.
Slowly. Like a very slow, and we see the whole thing. He just fucking drowns this dog.
Oh no! Does he crack it or does he drown it? I don't know. Whatever.
No, he holds this dog underwater. Like we watch him do it, and then after this terrible thing that he does, he leaves.
He just walks off.
He's like, "Well, now that I've killed your dog, you're definitely gonna do what we want. So we'll see you later."
Gotcha.
So dumb. I was livid at this point of the movie.
So they then are walking. Oh, this one kills me too. Kills me so much. So they're walking, and then they see these giant towers, which of course they decide to climb. Which of course they don't see anything by climbing the towers. I don't think.
Which is weird.
And
because like you think you'd be able to see a long way.
Tony, what were those towers for?
They're a monorail? Is that what they said?
They have built these, I don't know how many 1,000-foot tall towers to build a monorail on a world that has no roads, no industry. What do you need a monorail for? What the frick?
More importantly, what are you going to make it out of? You don't have any other moving vehicles.
You have
Like,
one,
what are you making other than the motorbike? That's the only thing we see: a motorbike and a boat, right? Those are the only two vehicles we see.
Yes, it's like a little wooden shit boat, and we're building 1,000-foot towers, and it's going to have a monorail that seats 1,000.
Who's even building it? Who is connecting the provinces? I don't understand where this is coming from. They're all separated. They don't want to hang out together. They left because, those are bad people. I honestly, I was so confused about where this was, who was building it. Also, it looked like it was all out of wood, right?
No, it was metal. There was metal?
Rebar
at the There was rebar at the top. You're like, rebar?
Okay.
They brought rebar on the ship?
Where are they getting the metals from? I haven't seen like an ore factory or are they mining? No one's, I don't
Tony,
understand.
Where's the ore factory? The ore factory.
I think that's something out of my RTS games, like a StarCraft. You got to get your ore factory up.
Okay, are you ready for the third act?
Holy shit. I guess.
We've reached the third act.
There's still more left. This is unbelievable.
We've reached the third act, and if you thought acts 1 and 2 were terrible, third act does not disappoint.
That's good. Yeah, we're going right in the right direction.
So they reached the big broken ship, which was the ship that Todd came on.
Oh, right. Yep.
Now, somehow, these ships, like, both decompose and don't decompose, right? If you had a big, gigantic ship that came across, the universe, you would maybe dismantle the ship, right, and use it for parts, but somehow...
Yeah, use it for parts to maybe build a monorail. Maybe that's where they're getting the metal.
So for some reason, they've sort of... they didn't... You'd probably make that ship a landing thing, and the ship would become a city, and da-da-da-da-da. It'd do all these things. You would have...
Which is kind of what happens with the new ship, right? Not to get ahead of ourselves.
We don't know.
We'll put a pin in it.
But
we'll put
the
a pin
whole
in it.
idea is they sort of act like the ship's been here 1,000 years and has started to disintegrate in some ways.
But apparently, it's only been here for less than 20.
Less than 20. Right? And so she's like, oh, there's a transmitter, super secret transmitter that I know exactly where it is, and it'll be fully functioning. And you're kind of like,
will it?
I mean, isn't that stuff you would be using, the transmitters and stuff?
You would think so.
And so they climb down there, and she pulls open the panel. Boop, 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 magically works perfectly.
Well, but the antenna's not connected. Classic RV antenna.
So they walk outside, and they look up, and they're like, see that way up there in space? Now, if you'd have set up Todd's character as king of the climbing, he's just like Mr. Climb.
Sure.
He's up a tree, down a tree.
Great.
He's just like, I got this shit. I'd have been like, oh, he's Mr. Climb Boy. This is great.
No, but he's Mr. Knife Boy.
He's Mr. Knife Boy.
Wrong skill.
I think we're up to the third act, and how much knife skill are we going to see?
0.
So the antenna disconnect. He's like, I got this. You're like, do you?
Yeah, I have very little faith in him because he hasn't done a whole lot in the entire movie.
So the mayor shows up with his army, and what is the mayor? Do you remember the line that he says?
I sure do not.
He says, "Surround the ship and wait for my orders."
First of all, surround the ship. The ship's huge. How many people do they have? They couldn't even surround the barn in the town. But now they're going to surround an entire ship? No, I don't think so. That's bad.
This is a setup so that the mayor will be walking all by himself the rest of the movie.
Yeah, we have another classic standoff scenario.
So
I wonder what his signal's going to be.
Evil priest finds her down in the bowels of this ship somehow. Somehow he just...
He doesn't... He seems like he's the only one that goes into the ship.
He is.
All right. I don't understand why he was there. I was surprised.
And they fight, and then she uses a little device and burns him up alive.
Why is he so flammable? She like hits his feet and then he just like goes up like he's covered in gasoline. I was like, holy shit, this guy's been drinking too much whiskey. It's like 90% alcohol over there.
So he's got...
Then he doesn't even scream, Dan. He's on fire. Hold on. This is my favorite line in the movie. This is the first, for the record, anyone out there listening, this is the first time I'm looking at my notes for this entire film. And he says, where is it? Oh, here it is. He goes, he's on fire. And his dying words are, yes, what?
He soliloquies while he's dying?
It's not a soliloquy. It's only one line as far as I can tell, from what I remember. But he goes, I am baptized by fire, as he's like on fire walking down the hallway. That's what he says.
So he's happy about it.
He seems like he's like, I'm good to go. Like, this is the way it's supposed to go. I'm on my way to heaven. I'm cleansed. I was like, what is happening right now? Oh, so dumb.
Okay, so Mayer has his dad there. Somehow he's controlling the guy. Do that. He's like, come down. The girl is using you. And he's like, you think you won. And then I wish he'd said, well, actually, we did win because I plugged in the antenna.
Like, we're good. We're here. Everything's working. And also, like, he says that she's using him, but what is she even using him for?
Well, more importantly, she should have said, she used you. Because it's over.
Right. Like, we've already done it. We're at the end game. It's already all happened. You're where you're supposed to be. But she's also not using, he's offering his help. It's not like she's got a hidden agenda. So I just didn't understand what she's using him for.
Dude.
I don't know.
So he makes Matt. So they're fighting, and he shoots Todd, and Todd hides. And he sees where he's hiding, and then Todd makes the ghosts of all the women, which I'm not quite sure how he can do that, but whatever. Guess he remembers how they all looked, even though they died when he wasn't
really there.
Who knows?
He was a baby.
And then Daisy Ridley runs over with a stick and pushes him to his death.
Yeah, which was so anticlimactic. I was shocked. So when he started making the women, I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then nothing.
No, she runs over and pushes him with a stick.
She pokes him
with a stick.
And then he's dead.
Stick.
And I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Stick.
That's all it took?
We have no idea where she got this stick. Why would she have a stick? What is going on? I don't know. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Stupid.
And then 30 seconds later, the ship lands, and they start unpacking horses, and he wakes up.
Hold on, we don't see any of that, do we?
That they're unpacking.
He passes out.
But we see the ship landing.
Okay.
We see the ship landing.
It's like, did I miss stuff?
The ship's landing.
Okay. Oh, that's right. It like comes through the clouds.
30 seconds.
Yeah. It's fast. It's a fast signal. I mean, they were definitely like right outside, just hovering.
So really what they didn't mean anything, because she could have just stood there and yelled at them, oh yeah, watch out.
She could have just waved and be like, ah, and they'd be like, oh, there she is. Oh, don't go there, guys.
No, don't land. Go away. Go away.
Turn around. Turn around right now.
So then he wakes up in the med bay. The med bay is the size of a football stadium, and she's the only one there.
Right. Where are the what's he's in like a plastic bag, so I was like, oh, maybe he's dead. But why is there nobody there for when he wakes up? No one's monitoring him, and she's just like sitting there. She's not doing anything. I don't know. It's very confusing.
And then she's like, it's growing on me. Why would this this place be growing on her? Why would it be growing on her? It's horrible. It's
not a good place, filled with bad people, but it's cool, man. It's cool.
And then I wrote, she loves me. Does she give him a look like, it's gonna happen?
I think doesn't he ask like, is she gonna kiss me? I think at this point, because they have like a moment, and then she doesn't. She like walks away, and it's like cute and playful or something. Not that it was any of those things, but I think that was the idea behind it. It just didn't work
She does a
out.
fun and flirty walk.
So I have questions, Dan,
After all
about
this
ending.
Still have questions.
I do, just this ending here, because the ship lands.
They start unpacking the horses.
And it's been a couple of days. Like, we'll go outside. Like, the grass is super green outside. Is that real grass? Like, did they regrow the grass sometime?
The ship was sort of in a meadow. Yeah.
But that's not where they.
They weren't there. The ship's somewhere else. You're right.
They weren't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Maybe they moved locations, but like, there's no problems with the natives now. And by the natives, I don't mean the what is it? Sparkles? What were the
Spackles?
What were the bad guys? The Spackles. Like, all of the humans are cool with it. There doesn't seem to be any conflict here.
No, well, conflict's in the next movie, I guess. It's a good ending.
Is it? It doesn't feel like a good ending point. It feels like everything's wrapped up with a bow. It feels like the whole movie was for nothing, because it all happened the way it should have. They were going to land, and she told them to land, so they landed like they were planning. Everyone was like, oh, we're going to be upset when they land. No one seemed to care when they landed. Everything's fine.
Well, yeah, because they have...
So I don't understand.
They have the space lasers of the ship. They just shoot all those guys.
Are you sure? Or do they have the 1937 rifles? That's where on the ship. I don't know.
Well, this ship supposedly left before the ship that landed here, so they might have even older.
So they
rifles.
have 1800s. Yeah,
they have muskets.
They have muskets. Top loading muskets, baby.
Breech loader muskets.
Oh,
and
God.
Cap guns that don't do anything, just make noise.
Just kind of make a noise. I don't know. I just was very confused.
And that's why this is literally the worst movie we've watched, because there's nothing, there's a couple little tiny bits of jokes sort of buried. Yeah, him fighting the lake monster. Okay, that's okay. But there's so many.
That's a fun little thing.
Daisy Ridley's character is literally the most annoying character I've ever seen in any movie.
It's not great.
It's horrible.
It's not great. And I don't know how you feel about Daisy Ridley. I love Daisy Ridley, and I do not hold her accountable whatsoever.
I hold the filmmakers, because it was really interesting. There's like a thing where they're like behind the scenes, and they showed Doug Liman directing some stuff, and they showed the boat scene, and he was super happy with her, like when he asked her to get in the boat. And I'm just like, what?
That's not, no, that's wrong. It's wrong.
It's wrong. It's completely wrong. Just like, make a fucking movie. Good God.
Make a fucking movie. We should make a t-shirt that just says that. Just make a fucking movie.
So, Tony, tell us about something you liked this week.
Oh, I forgot to come up with something I liked this week. Oh, no, never mind. We've been watching Mighty Ducks Game Changers this week.
Is that a series?
Yes, Dan. It's a series on Disney Plus. It's a sequel series to the Mighty Ducks franchise, and it's pretty good. Here's what I'll say. I love it. I have a very strong nostalgia for the original trilogy. Like, I'm the guy that even likes D3. Nobody likes D3. I love D3. I think they're all great. They're all perfect films. So I made her rewatch. I don't think she'd ever seen D3 or something. So I was like, we have to watch the whole series. Right. So we watched 1, 2, 3, and then started the show. The show's cute. It's a nice family friendly show. Emilio comes back and he's great. He reminds me a lot of his dad now because he's older and like the face looks the same. It's very strange. Altogether, I'm having a great time. Okay. I love it.
I started King Kong. I haven't finished it. It's pretty terrible, but the funny thing is the monkey is acted. King Kong is acted really good. King Kong is really fun.
It's on my list.
And then there's like this little girl that communicates with King Kong. Most expressive little girl I've ever seen. She's
interesting.
Every second she's on screen, you're like, I love this girl. This is so interesting. It's because they form a bond, and it's it is magic. All the rest of the movie, they leap and bounds from one thing to another in a way that you're just like, chaos walking. It puts chaos walking to shame. Where you're just like,
but I mean, you got to get to like big action piece to big action piece. Nobody's there for the story, Dan. Okay,
someone is pouring billions of dollars into making every act, thing happen, and it's like Skarsgård character is just like, well, make this happen, and it just happens, and you're like, he's the nerd
Okay.
nerd scientist in a 1-bedroom apartment that somehow authorizes $1 billion project to happen every 5 minutes. It's like, what?
This movie sounds right up my alley. I will tell you that I'm refraining from watching it because I don't want the numbers to overshadow Justice League too much.
What are you talking about?
Because they're both on HBO Max, so I don't want Godzilla to get like so many views that it kind of overshadows what Zack Snyder's Justice League did, which was I think pretty decent.
So
I'm holding off.
You're holding off your single view as almost like a protest vote against Kong and for Channel.
Not even against Kong, though. That's the thing. I'm actually very excited to see Kong. I'm pushing it on down the road so I can still mark my vote for Justice League.
You literally are the most pathetic person I have ever met in my life. The most.
Well, when Justice League gets a sequel, who's going to be laughing then, Dan?
I don't think I would have ever said this in my life. I hope they let Zack Snyder make more Justice League movies.
Me too.
I really do.
I mean, they're not gonna.
They're not gonna.
But I think they should.
But at least he finally got to some place. I mean, I haven't watched the whole movie. I've watched maybe the first 45 minutes. At least he's gotten to a point where it makes some sense.
I know. It took a while, like a decade.
Because those other movies made no sense.
But together as a package, it does make the other ones better, in my opinion. Like going back and rewatching them, I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah. Good on him.
Anywho.
So Tony, give us a movie to watch next week.
All right. So here's the thing, Dan.
Don't make it a movie as bad as this.
I can't promise that. Well, you know what? I can, because at least this is a comedy, so I think there'll be a lot of good things to make fun of. There was too much animal cruelty in this movie.
Absolutely.
So next week, I want to watch a movie all about an animal, which I imagine can't be animal cruelty. It's whatever the opposite is.
Please tell me it's the Rob Schneider, The Animal.
It's not. I would never do that because I love that movie. What a great film. This one is instead a gem from 2016.
Ooh.
And it stars Kevin Spacey as a cat.
Oh,
and it is, of course, called 9 Lives.
I almost picked this one a few weeks ago. I was like looking at it, and I'm like, "Well, this looks interesting," and it looks super terrible. And we could talk about Kevin Spacey.
I know. Well, we'll try not too much Kevin Spacey, other than he's the devil incarnate. But I wanted to see this in theaters, and I couldn't convince Naomi to come with me. So here we are. We're doing it for the podcast.
We're taking one for the team. Yeah, no, this movie I will hate way less than Chaos Walking because...
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be a good thing.
Man, that movie made me angry. 9 Lives, Kevin Spacey, baby. It's like a kid's movie.
Yeah, it's like a family movie. He's like a bad dad that turns into a good cat. That should be... I wonder if that's the tagline. Bad dad, good cat. Because that's a catchy tagline. I don't know.
How could that go wrong? Couldn't go wrong. Wow, they're still letting him make movies in 2017. Wow.
I think that might be the last. Because I imagine it also did poorly. So that combined with him being trash, they were just like, all right, you're done.
You've been canceled.
You done been canceled.
No, when are we going to get canceled? One of these days.
Well, if anyone watches the show, it'll be then. The first time somebody watches the show, other than people we know, it'll happen.
Okay. Well, this has been Hate Watching. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. We are also a podcast, so if you might be listening to us there. And,
Probably not, though. But if you are, good on you. Keep on doing it.
I'm sure at some point Tony will just forget to keep uploading it as a podcast.
Dan, it's happened several times. There are weeks where nothing gets uploaded, and then the next week it's like 2 or 3 episodes.
Well, I'm on him to keep him on YouTube because that's where, at least I know that it needs to go because that's where
that's where we're thriving.
Yeah, that's where we're thriving. 12 to 18 really views a month. So, yeah, do all those things. And thank you for supporting us because... we're sad.
And if you don't support us, thank you for being you. You're a great person either way.
God bless. God bless. Thoughts and prayers. So I've been Dan, and you've been
Tony!
And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody!
Hey, watch him!